Good evening and welcome to this special live broadcast where we engage councillors of the Khomas region in terms of development and issues that they have undertaken since taking over office. Now, over the past few weeks, we have been speaking to the councillors who have given us an overview, highlighted some of the projects and initiatives undertaken, and also some of the collaborative work that they have done with stakeholders. During these sessions, the councillors also get to interact with their communities and also engage with audiences within their constituencies, highlighting community engagements and other social issues as part of a transparent and accountable system of governance. My name is Nsinde Limbo, and I will be moderating the sessions. Today we are coming to you live from the Khomas Regional Council in the Kovambo Nyoma Hall, and we do have a live audience here with us. And we also would like to inform the viewers at home that we are live on the Khomas Regional Council Facebook page, on the NBC Facebook page, and our YouTube channel as well. We're also live on the NBC radio stations of National FM, Kati FM, Omurari FM, Kaisames FM, Funkhouse Namibia, and Heart Club FM. And to our live audience, we kindly remind you that we are on a live broadcast and every movement in the hall must be kept minimal, and we remind you to also keep your devices on silent so that we do not disturb the live broadcast. This evening, we shine the spotlight on the Windhoek West constituency, where we are joined by Councillor Honorable Emma Muteka, who is also going to speak to us about some of the highlights of her tenure since taking over office. Good evening, Honorable Muteka, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, let's get right into the discussion. Your constituency is quite vibrant, having so many sectors, both public and private, educational establishments, institutions, businesses, and other service providers. Can you speak to us about what Windhoek West is like? What are some of the dynamics that distinguish it from other constituencies?
Thank you very much for the question. Well, first of all, welcome to the Windhoek West constituency. You're currently sitting in here. It is a constituency that is home to 59,073 inhabitants, according to the 2023 census. It also has 17 schools, of which 2 are private schools and 15 are government schools. There's something very special about Windhoek West as well. We do house an airport, and many people actually don't know the Aeros Airport is under the Windhoek West constituency. And well, the much spoken about high learning institutions, as well as one vocational training center. And we have a very, very, very special place within the constituency, which we call the historical spot, better known as the old location, where the old location uprising took place on the 10th of December 1959. Other than that, we also are housing quite a number of businesses. We also have an industrial area, which is called Prosperity, as well as various different dynamics when it comes to businesses. We have dentists, we have law firms, we have accounting firms. You can name it. It's actually a house of, like you said, it's a vibrant constituency.
Now, given all these establishments, all these businesses, and can you speak to us about what you would describe as the major economic drivers for your constituency?
Most definitely the type of businesses that I had mentioned earlier, such as, the law firms and, I actually forgot to mention, we also have a lot of doctor practices and pharmacists here. And quite frankly, these are establishments that are also helping our young people when it comes to internship and laying the foundation for them to be prepared to, get into the working space.
Now, what is your budget like as a constituency? What is your budgetary allocation, and how is that distributed to ensure equity among the residents? And what priority areas would you say always enjoy priority in your budget?
Well, currently our budget is 637,000. This is an annual budget that excludes the minor capital projects. This is so because not every financial year does Windhoek West get an allocation for minor capital projects. In terms of how we decide or how we get to the point of distribution, we do have what you call the CDC, the Community Development Committee, which is then responsible for identifying these priority areas and identifying projects that they could bring to the constituency in terms of us addressing the need of the community. in a nutshell, this is basically what we do, and I'm very happy that you asked in terms of equity as opposed to equality, because we do know that in as much as this is a constituency, it does have different dynamics within the constituency itself, knowing very well that there are some certain areas that are priority over others. Not that the others are not important, but we're looking at priority, yes.
Now, in terms of development, one cannot really adopt a one-size-fits-all or a blanket approach to development, because dynamics differ from area to area and depending on which perspective you look at it from. Now, in your area, what would you point out as key priorities? I know you alluded to it earlier, but just to highlight more on the priority areas and why these areas.
Well, the first one on the list is safety and security. There's an issue when it comes to safety and security in the constituency, and to address this issue, the constituency was able to procure 2 CCTV cameras, one that was put in Pullman Street, where we are seated actually, and the other one was placed in front of the UNAM Khomas campus. We identified specifically the UNAM Khomas campus because if you remember, we had an incident where we lost a student in front of the campus, and we felt this was one of the areas that we needed to look at. The other issue would be education. I've stated earlier that we have 17 schools, and I must state that out of Khomas, we are the constituency that houses majority of the schools, which basically means we are also bailing out our brother and sister constituencies, and that their residents come to receive education within the Windhoek constituency. Addressing with that, we were able to assist a school with renovating some classrooms, and under this current financial year, we have plans of building 2 classrooms at the Cosmos High School. Yes.
We now shift focus and talk about more community development, especially development projects. Which community development projects would you say that you have undertaken since you took over office? Can you also just talk to us about that? Because we do know community development also has a positive impact on the residents, because it makes them feel part and parcel of development and also seen and heard. What have you done for the community?
Thank you very much for the question. So I'm going to start first with agriculture. We were able to set up 3 gardens. One of them was set up at the Yanmo High School. One was set up in our office, and I want to tell you a story about this one. We transformed our swimming pool into a garden because our office is in a residential area, and it came with a swimming pool, so we transformed that swimming pool into a garden. We also set up a garden at the Namibian Visually Impaired Federation, and this is basically moving into the line of food security. Why did we choose the school? We wanted to lay a foundation on teaching the students in terms of self-sustainability, and also bailing out or somehow assisting central government when it comes to the budget, when it comes to schools that have got hostels. Why the office? Windhoek West does not benefit in terms of assistance when it comes to any sorts of food parcels. So we took the bull by the horns and decided to come up with a garden where we feed especially our elderly within the constituency. That is where we feed them from this very garden. Then lastly, we chose the Namibian Federation of the Visually Impaired because we also wanted, we speak about inclusivity, and we also wanted to bring them on board to make sure that they then benefit from these projects.
Now, having highlighted these key community targeted interventions, in terms of impact, how do you measure the level of impact of these projects on your community? Do you have figures that you would say that so and so beneficiaries have benefited, and these are some of the real life stories that we can tell from these interventions?
Thank you very much. Added to what I had said, we also have a program that we run from the Khomas Regional Council, which is called the IGA, which is a program that supports SMEs within the constituency. Now, when it comes to how we measure, we have what you call the monitoring and evaluation policy, and we take this on by making sure that we monitor and we evaluate all of these projects and identify whether what we have done is effective or not. We identify a specific time frame where we go to these beneficiaries, we interview them and find out based on the timeline or the time that they benefited to where they are, how has their life changed. And we further also find out what other challenges they are faced with from the time that they have benefited, in order for us to see how best we can further support them.
In areas of infrastructure, you have spoken about education, we have spoken about a bit about social issues. Can we talk about infrastructure and some of the social safety nets that you have within the constituency? What interventions have you undertaken in this regard?
Thank you. We have part of our annual budget, as I've mentioned. We have safety nets such as Back to School and Winter Safety Net, which focus on, based on what they basically say, back to school, issues pertaining to schools, where we assist students with textbooks, we assist them with school uniform and so forth. As well as the Winter Safety Net, we focus on anything that is within the scope of winter to assist our communities. Back then, because of our dynamics, it was quite an interesting thing to sit, and we had to really identify beneficiaries. So far what we have done, I can give you one example. We had a family that lost everything in their house due to a fire. And so what we did was, with the Winter Safety Net, we procured beds. But we didn't buy these beds, we asked somebody to make them. One of the businesses that have benefited from the Windhoek West constituency through the IGA program that I was talking about, he was able to make us beds for this entire family, and we provided them mattresses as well as some beds. Added to that, we are also looking at issues such as, like I said, the IGA, sorry, not the IGA, but the Back to School. We then bought some textbooks for certain schools. We all know what the crisis is in this country. We're trying to move into the line of each child must have a textbook. So we were able to procure textbooks. We were also able to procure what you would call, a smart board. We procured 2 smart boards, which we handed over to Khomas High School, as well as to David Besadenhout, knowing very well that we're moving into the line of digitalization. Yes.
Yes. Now, despite all these efforts and the good initiatives you have undertaken for development in the area, there's one issue that seems to continue to plague communities, and this is not a Windhoek issue, it's not a Khomas issue, but it's countrywide. Youth unemployment. What have you done in terms of trying to address this issue at your constituency?
Well, we're going back to the income generating activity, as I've mentioned. So we try to, or we actually support SMEs that exist within the constituency. And through the monitoring and evaluation, we then go back and identify whether this income generating activity has somehow assisted. And as you've mentioned, as I've mentioned earlier, like the gentleman who we gave the responsibility to come up with beds or make beds for that family, that was an employment that was created. I want to also add that we then procured material that we gave to a local sewer to actually sew material for the oncology center at the Central Hospital, where we handed over pillowcases, bed sheets, as well as curtains, specifically targeting the area of oncology and radiology.
Now, community engagement, interaction, and communication is a very key aspect in terms of governance, as it aligns your community with what you are doing, your plans, and how they can also be part of the solutions. Can you talk to us about some of the mechanisms that you use, some of the platforms that you use, and how frequent do you engage with your community to just also gauge the level of feedback from them?
Thank you. I would want to start with the top. The one on top is Facebook. We have a Facebook page where we interact with our residents on a very frequent basis, where we share information, and we also open up the platform for any questions or any queries that they may have. Further to that, we also have a WhatsApp channel where we share information and communicate to our community. Obviously, we also have WhatsApp groups that are divided in the various suburb areas. So if, for example, you have Hockland Park WhatsApp group where we communicate to them. Further to that, we also share some information on the national radio station, where we just disseminate this information, but the grassroots in terms of information dissemination and communication is really done by what you call the CDC, the Constituency Development Committee. We share this information with them and they disseminate it further to their communities. When it comes to meetings, because of our dynamics, I will not hide it from you, it's quite challenging to have a physical meeting in the Windhoek West constituency. We then further had a survey where we asked the community what suits them best, whether they would want to have face-to-face meetings or whether they would be comfortable with online, because we are a constituency that has got access to internet, so we wanted to give them that platform. We received a very good response. About 83% of the residents have indicated that they're more comfortable with online meetings. But even with that, it still continues to be a little bit of a challenge. But this is what we continue to do. This is how we communicate with our community members.
Thank you very much. Now, Honorable Muteka, what would you say is your takeaway from the 4 years or so in office? What would you highlight as the major takeaways, 3, 4, 5 things that you would say, should I leave my legacy, I want it to be remembered as this?
Okay. Sure, you caught me off guard. I'm not going to hide it. I think one thing that I would want people to remember me for is being the people's servant. Mm-hmm. I served with my heart on my sleeves. I was also, this was really an opportunity for me to be shaped. And I always say this opportunity has really shaped me to become a better person in terms of serving the people and understanding your purpose. Mm-hmm. So I would really want people to remember me to be a person who really went out and gave her best. In as much as not the perfect best, I really went out and listened. Mm-hmm. Very patient. Yes, I think that's the legacy that I would want to leave behind.
Thank you. Now we are in conversation with the Councillor of the Windhoek West constituency, Honorable Emma Muteka, who has just spoken to us about some of the achievements made, initiatives undertaken towards development in her region, in her constituency rather. We will now pause here for a few questions and we'll allow questions from the audience. We would, however, like to remind the audience that you need to keep your questions very respectful and keep your questions brief and to the point. Let's make the views also very straight to the point, brief and a summary. Kindly also just remember that you can speak to us in any language that you feel comfortable in, Namibian language that is. We will have translators to assist with that. We also request that once you give your 2 questions, allow an opportunity for the other people to also ask questions, then we will return for a second round. Once again, the NBC retains editorial control and prerogative, and we do reserve the right to discourage comment that may be derogatory or may not align with our mandate. So I will start roving a microphone around the hall so that people with questions can please start asking questions, comments, views, and suggestions. Yes, sir.
My name is Martin, and I'm a resident of Windhoek since I returned from exile. I would like to know what is the approximately size of the constituency Windhoek West, and how many land is available for expansion of residents, that means residents within Windhoek West which are homeless and who do not have a place or shelter. Number 2, the shopping center, which is also part, which is close to the Namibian Technical University, Burn Hill, it is a disaster, including Transnami premises. Hygiene is completely compromised and no one takes care. And we are running every day the risk of the lives of students who has to study, but there is no safety net. That means for pedestrians to cross into the city to go and do their shopping. And especially, we do not have any clinical welfare within the Windhoek constituency. These are serious matters which lacks. And I have heard a lot, but most of what I've heard it today. The rest, it is a challenge. We need to talk, because otherwise, then we have to talk to the community to let them understand what's going on in Windhoek West. But please, hygiene is a matter.
Thank you very much, sir. Your point is taken. We will allow the Honourable Councillor to respond to the two questions before we return for another round of questions.
Thank you very much, sir, for those questions. The first two questions, I would want to rather safely say that this is within the jurisdiction of City of Windhoek and not within the jurisdiction of, within our mandate at the Regional Council. But we definitely do take note, and this is something that we would want to share with our fellow, or our counterpart, which is City of Windhoek. The provision of, clinical provision, you're totally and absolutely right. From our office, we did attempt to try and see how best we can address this issue. But what we've realized is that it's a policy issue. Within the ministry's policy, there is a specific radius, or a radius, we would want to call it in that line, where they would then approve clinics within a specific area. We have written a letter to the ministry to seek audience for them to come and assist us, and we are trying to call for an amendment of this policy in order for it to allow us to then look at possibilities of us having clinical provision, or rather health provision within the constituency. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Councillor. We will return for another round. Any other questions from the audience? Okay. Questions, comments, views? In the interest of not having questions, I will allow the gentleman for a second round.
Thank you. I just want to mention the third point, part of, I'd like to mention the third point, which is, since we do have 17 schools as mentioned, and then we are talking about 2 high institutions, or 3 high, in fact 4 high institutions, which is, I suppose, to be in the Windhoek West constituency. Transportation is a problem. I do not know whether someone is trying to tackle it, but I think that I do have some programs where the 2 main universities, which is UNAM as well as the one close to where I'm staying at your offices, one needs to set up certain transportations, and one don't need to wait. One can involve the members of your constituency as much as the business. As we are so fortunate to have all businesses mostly located in our area, I think they will be fair, willing, and willing to assist. That is the job. But transportation has to be tackled with all the schools in our vicinity to make it smooth, to make it safe. Because it seems to me the public-private transportation does not run to the hearts of every citizen within our constituency.
Thank you very much, sir. Your points are taken. We will once again give an opportunity to the Honourable Councillor to respond.
Thank you very much, sir. Firstly, before I respond, let me take this opportunity to say thank you very much. You are one of the residents that not only brings a problem, but also accompanies it with a solution. So thank you very much for that. And we will take it up as a constituency to further engage our business community in terms of assisting with transportation. And I fully agree with you when it comes to the issue of the high learning institutions when it comes to transport. I'm happy to report to you that we do have an MOU between the Khomas Regional Council as well as the City of Windhoek. And it's very interesting that you're addressing this, because just a couple of weeks ago, we did have a meeting with the City of Windhoek to revive the agreement that was between our constituency and them to provide transportation, particularly to the UNAM main campus, as well as NAST. This is for the reason because we realized that these students not only are struggling with transportation during the day, but we tend to sort of, for a lack of a better word, neglect the students who have night classes. So we are moving into reviving this agreement, and we are expecting everything to be in full swing towards the end of September. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Honourable Councillor. Any other questions from the audience? Okay. Unfortunately, we will not create a dialogue, so we would like to, as much as we would like to give you an opportunity, we will allow 15 seconds of questions before we close off.
Can I say the last words?
It's your lucky day, Honourable Councillor, so I'll just give back the opportunity to the Honourable Councillor to just give her concluding remarks. Any other information that you perhaps would like to share, concluding remarks, and
Yes.
way forward?
Thank you so much, and I'm happy that it's my lucky day. I may have omitted something very, very important when it comes to education. One of the projects that we undertook within the constituency is the refurbishment of chairs and desks, which is the furniture. And I really want to take this opportunity to ask the people who refurbished these chairs and desks. We took a completely different approach. We realized that the students, or rather the learners, were in need of furniture. And because of financial constraints, we then decided to take the route of improvising. And we then approached our VTC, the Windhoek Vocational Training Center, as well as our Pioneers Boys. And I would want them to rise, if they could please rise for us, with the principal and as well as the instructor. If you could just rise. These are the people who were able to provide for plus minus 1,700 students with new chairs and desks. And the reason why we decided to approach Pioneers Boys especially was to, number one, motivate these young men so that they can know that in their lives, the reason why a boy child or a girl child is able to sit on a desk, on a chair and have a desk is because of them. Number two, for us to also create a platform to indicate that all hope is not lost and that we can actually fix or get things right by using what we have, which is the VTC as well as our Pioneers Boys. And I really want to say thank you, thank you, thank you very much to the Pioneers Boys as well as the VTC.
No, absolutely, we give them a round of applause for that.
Final remarks. Thank you, NBC. Thank you, Windhoek West. We are still busy with our projects. It was an honor to be here, and we're excited to see what the future holds.
Indeed. That also brings us to the end of this public information session. These sessions now have been ongoing for the past few weeks, where we have engaged many of the Windhoek, the Khomas Regional Council councillors, where we have spoken to them about the development initiatives, their projects, some of their challenges, and this has officially made us this makes the last and final session of these public information sessions, where we end with Windhoek West Constituency Councillor Honourable Emma Muteka. It was a pleasure hosting the councillors on our platforms, and we look forward to future engagements with the NBC and other platforms. Until then, from all of us and the crew at the back, we thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.